Hey everybody, welcome to Bura. In this episode, I'm going to be talking about Udemy stock and some insane price targets. Let's talk about it. Alright, we're back. First, we're going to make sure that you like, subscribe. More subscribers get the more content we can make. Number reason why you subscribe to this amazing YouTube channel is to get in the money-making trends before they go mainstream. Alright, so yesterday was a pretty devastating day for the stock of Udemy. And if we take a look at the 5-day from the top to the bottom, we have a whopping 14% down. It is down a little bit today, but it has recovered here. Now, one of the reasons, again, it's not that Udemy is doing bad necessarily. It's that yesterday, Biden has basically said that Jerome Powell is going to be the next or continue for a second term of the chair of the Federal Reserve. And the markets didn't necessarily like that. They thought the other one was going to be better for like meme stocks and tech and whatnot. Because Jerome Powell does want to taper, which, well, that's a whole separate video. But nevertheless, again, if you're on the stock market, you are at the mercy of the rest of the stock market sometimes. If stocks are down, then, well, it's just the way it is, I guess. So again, nothing wrong with Udemy itself. As you know, I think it's a great product. It does exactly what it's supposed to do. I think it could be a lot better. But that's I'll be doing something I'll be doing a Steam to Udemy comparison very soon. I'm just working on it to make sure that it's accurate, etc. So one of the things, if we take a look at this here, so not necessarily bad here. And actually, if you go back to the month here, we are technically just a little bit below the IPO price. And remember, I don't think Udemy is a short. All right. So let's take a look at there's some interesting price targets here. So basically, if you look at this here, there are some price targets of some investors, some institutions, etc. And a lot of the targets are 42, 36, 45, and 40. So these aren't necessarily bad price targets. And again, if you want to invest in Udemy, just take a little bit of change, maybe invest in it, and see what goes on here. But as you can see, these are pretty big. These are pretty big upsides. We have 43%, 20%, 54%, and then we have 37% here. And then, of course, if you want, you can take a look at the source here as to what they think that the targets are. Now, I don't know what the leverage is on these trades. So a lot of these institutions will have some kind of leverage, right? They will do the work and they'll say, well, should we leverage this at X amount of leverage? And if you're leveraging this at 5 times or 10 times, it's a lot, right? And if their calls and their options here, that could be that could be quite substantial here. Now, of course, this is what they're saying, and it looks like they've said it publicly, so they're pretty confident in the Udemy stock. And again, I don't think it's necessarily a bad stock to own, and I certainly wouldn't short it. I wouldn't. The only thing I would short would be, maybe natural gas, but not now. For the last 10 years, you could short natural gas on almost any given day, and it would mostly work out. But again, not now, not now with inflation. But anyway, there's another one here where we have an analyst rating. We have based on 12 analysts, it's a buy. And you know what? Again, I think it's pretty good. The thing that I would worry about as an investor is, something what happened to Duolingo. You have this big pump up to that, and then you have like a 75% down. It depends. And you'll see that. You'll see that kind of action because like big traders have to disclose their trades. So like if you're trading a stock, even if you're trading like $100,000 or $200,000, you don't necessarily have to report that. But like if you have millions of dollars worth of stock, you do have to report that, right? There is a limit here that you can do. But anyway, as you can see, the stock is down a little bit. It's not really that bad. But this is interesting that everyone is bullish on Udemy. And, again, I don't think there's a reason why they shouldn't be. They make more money than Coursera. And their product is pretty good. And they do want to put in the subscription here. Now, of course, one of the things that I suggest to Udemy is that they don't do the personal subscription. The personal subscription should be on the instructor level, and you want the marketplace to be scalable like Steam. And I should really just do a comparison of Steam to Udemy, and I'm going to do it very soon. So please stay tuned to this channel because it's really important to understand the dynamics of Steam and why it's so successful, and why Udemy could be way more successful than that. And I think Udemy could be more successful than Steam. Just because, like, I mean, games are, well, a big industry, but like learning is an even bigger industry. So there's lots of money to be made. It's just, I don't think Udemy goes about the right way of doing it. And again, if you look 5 or 10 years into the future, you know, what does Udemy look like? Because if we look 5 years into the past, Udemy almost looks the exact same. And that's kind of a problem, right? You know, most of the courses haven't really improved. And I think for the last 2 years, Udemy has just been kind of waiting to IPO. You know, they did a redesign, which was rather expensive to do. I mean, to be fair, I redesigned my website as well at the exact same time Udemy did. So, you know, you have to do the redesign, but you have to do it in a very cost-effective way, and that's exactly what I did. You know, and they redid the logo, and they I think in the last 2 years they've been waiting to IPO quite a bit, and they haven't really added in much differentiation, which they could, but they don't want to. And they really do run the risk of kind of like, I keep saying this, like a nonprofit or a decentralized platform, kind of like Odyssey, or a public benefit company, something along those lines where profit is important, but not the whole thing. Like Kickstarter is a public benefit company. You know, it's the best place to arguably put up any idea to get funding for, that there's no strings attached. So, you know, something like that could happen with Udemy here. And that would be probably the biggest and most bearish thing. And what's even worse is if a bigger company picked up that a competitor. So, you know, Apple, like what if Apple picked up BitDegree? What would happen? Like, so Microsoft is probably not looking to buy an e-learning company because they bought Lynda, or LinkedIn bought in Lynda, right? And then, you know, Microsoft owns that as well. And so they're not likely to buy it. But like Apple doesn't have something like this. I mean, Apple doesn't have it. And Apple really could. I mean, I know Apple has its own university, but they really could buy something like Udemy or a competitor. And that would not be good news. So a bigger company could do that. You know, Steam could come out with one. They do have videos on their site, which I should probably look into. And, you know, Epic could come out with one. Like one of these bigger companies could come up with a Udemy competitor. And that would be extremely bearish. I mean, if Epic came out with one, that would be interesting. Because Epic's a really good company to work with. They only take 5%. And I will do another video on how much Udemy takes and compare it to some of the news articles you see about developers complaining about Apple's and Android share, right? So that pretty much concludes this video. So it looks like a lot of people are bullish, and you know, I'm bullish too. It's just the thing with Udemy is that it could be so much better than it is. And I think they're just being, I just think just the idea of moving their 44 million people or students into the personal subscription is probably not, it will have short-term gains, but it's not a good move long run. It really isn't a good move long run, because essentially most of the people who are on the platform 5 years ago are on the platform today, and it's grueling work to put out these courses, and it burns you out faster than you might think. And so there's no incentive to make it easier. And that's one of the things, right? So if you have a company making a product, it's so much easier than if you have like one person, right? And I see this every day with other companies. They have teams of people working on better products than what Udemy has to offer. And they're unknown, but they could, like one of these companies could get purchased by a bigger company. And, you know, like even myself, I have a very, very streamlined process. That's probably the least expensive way to build courses, you know, and could scale it up and we'll see what happens. But, you know, So like I said, even though the top products on Udemy are great and the instructors are good, it just eventually you'll have to start to eventually you'll have to get other companies into it. And Udemy isn't scalable. I can't build a multi-million dollar company on Udemy. If I could, I think the Udemy stock would be huge, much more than it is today. And I know they don't want to do that because, like, why would you want to give power away to other people? But then again, if you make it so that these companies can make a lot of money, you don't have to spend on advertising or a lot of other things that Udemy does spend a lot of money on. So anyway, that's what it is today. So as you can see, like, even since I've started talking, the Udemy stock is up about 2%. So good. All right, so that concludes this video. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in another video.